Welcome you all, dear students, to the undergraduation course in Commerce for the degree of BCom at Sri Venkatramana Swamy College, Bantual. You all have to study economics during your first, second, third, and the fourth semester. This subject will be handled by the teachers from the Department of Economics. I, Sakina Nasser, from the Department of Economics, for the time being, will be handling your paper in economics. During your first semester, you have to study a paper in economics called as Business Economics. The main objective of this paper is to acquaint you with the principles of economics that are applicable to business and thereby correlate these concepts of real life situations of markets in particular and economy in general. Most of you would have studied economics at your pre-university level, and I'm sure you're all familiar with the subject. Even if you're new to the subject, there's absolutely nothing to worry, as you can easily cope up. All because the subject matter is very interesting and useful as well. To begin with, today I shall give you a brief outline of the syllabus that you are going to study and discuss during your first semester. In the first chapter, we are going to discuss the meaning, nature, and scope of business economics, economic laws, business environment, and the factors that affect the business environment, and the various business objectives, both traditional as well as modern objectives. In the second chapter, we look into various principles of demand and demand analysis, the various laws of consumption, and its practical application to business. The third chapter is on supply, cost, and revenue analysis and its practical implications on business. And the last chapter is on production analysis and the various market forms such as perfect competition, monopoly, monopolistic competition, oligopoly, and how they function, how they determine their best price and output under various market forms. And we also study as to how a firm tries to maximize its profit and avoid losses. So altogether you have 4 chapters, and from the examination point of view, this paper is for 100 marks. Here 20 marks are taken from your internal examination that is conducted in the college in each semester. We conduct 2 internal exams, and 20 marks are allotted to these 2 internal exams, that is 10 marks each from an internal exam. Soon I'll send you a copy of the syllabus. I request all of you to write down the syllabus in a notebook, and you'll have to maintain a separate notebook for this subject so that whatever assignments are given to you or whatever notes you have to write, you will have to maintain it in a separate book for economics itself. Now, before going into business economics, we will talk a little on the subject economics itself. Now, what is economics? Economics studies as to how a man utilizes his limited resources for the satisfaction of his unlimited wants. Economics teaches us how to earn and spend the resources to satisfy innumerable human wants. Remember, we study economics mainly for the reason that we are always faced with one problem, that is the problem of choice, either as consumers or producers. In a traditional sense, economics is concerned with economic activities. Any activity undertaken to earn resources in order to satisfy the wants is called an economic activity. In other words, economic activities are the efforts made to satisfy the wants. So, wants, efforts, and satisfaction constitute the subject matter of economics. Traditionally, economics is divided as consumption, production, exchange, distribution, public finance, and economic planning. Now, students, what is consumption? We have all heard of consumption. Consumption refers to the satisfaction of human wants by using goods as well as services. Consumption includes all aspects relating to consumer behavior, such as characteristics of human wants, utility, how each consumer tries to maximize the utility with the limited resources that he or she has, demand, the various laws of consumption. And remember, consumption is the starting point of all economic activities. The next area of study in the field of economics is production. Production refers to the creation of goods and services by using different factors of resources. Now, when I say creation, it is nothing but production of goods and services. And in production, we know we make use of 4 factors of production, namely land, labor, capital, and organization. And the next field of study is exchange. Exchange refers to exchange of goods and services for consumption. Exchange connects production with consumption. Exchange includes a study of the principles by which relative values are determined and the mechanism through which exchanges take place, namely money, banking, internal and external trade. The next area in the field of economics is distribution. Students, you'll always have to remember, when we use the word distribution, it is not the distribution of goods and services. Distribution refers to rewarding the factors of production, namely the land, labor, capital, and organization. Now, what are the rewards that each factor gets for the services rendered? They get in the form of rent, wages, interest, and profit. Land receives rent, labor gets wages, capital gets interest, and organization is rewarded with profit. And this distribution, we also call it as either resource pricing or factor pricing. That is, for every factor, price is determined. The next area of study is public finance. Public finance relates to the financial activities of the government and the local bodies. Public finance studies how the government and local bodies, like the municipalities and the panchayats, secure funds for their various functions and how they spend and allocate the funds. And under public finance, we look into public revenue, public expenditure, public debt, fiscal policy, and the entire financial administration. And the next one is economic planning. This is also another area in the study of economics. Economic planning refers to coordination of economic activities, usually by a central authority. In economic planning, a study is made about objectives of planning, types of planning, models, and various strategies and techniques of planning. So if you look into all these areas of study in economics, it is very clear that economics is indeed a very broad subject, and the main focal point in the study of economics is income. It could be either production of income. When I say production of income, remember output is always converted in terms of income. Exchange of income, disposal of income. When you say disposal of income, it is the expenditure, how we spend our money, and distribution of income. All this constitute the subject matter of economics. So this is actually all the traditional area in the study of economics. But then we have what is called as, we have the modern economists who very simply classified economics into two, namely the microeconomics and the macroeconomics. And we have an economist by name Ragnar Frisch, who in 1920 actually made this classification as microeconomics and macroeconomics. Now, very briefly, let me tell you what is the difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics is the study of individual economic aspects. It deals with the analysis of small units of the economy, such as individual consumers, producers, firms, industries, and markets. Which means here we study how a consumer maximizes the satisfaction with his limited resources, how a producer maximizes the profit with the limited resources, whatever he has. Remember, resources are always limited. So we as rational beings will have to make the best use of the resources. That is what actually economics studies about. So that is what we call as microeconomics. Whichever deals with individual units of the economy, it is a study coming under microeconomics. Now, what is macroeconomics? Macroeconomics deals with the overall economy. When I say overall economy, it deals with the aggregates, such as, when I say aggregates, it includes national income, national output, or what we call it as the gross domestic product or the gross national product, changes in unemployment, rate of economic growth, inflation, price level, and so on. Remember, under microeconomics, we just talk about the price of a commodity. Here we are discussing about the price level. In micro, we determine how a firm determines its price and output. In macro, we concentrate on the national output, that is the aggregate. In macro, we discuss on inflation, deflation, stagflation, whatever is affecting the economy as a whole, not just for one or two individual producers or consumers. It is the aggregate. So that is what we study in macroeconomics. So students, the paper Business Economics is nothing but the application of microeconomic principles onto business with the very purpose of solving various business situations. And the two main objectives involved here is decision making and forward planning. We make use of the economic tools in order to understand the various business situations so that the business takes place in a more smooth and effective manner. That is what we would be studying in this paper, namely business economics. The next class, we will start with the first chapter on business economics, namely meaning, nature, and scope and significance of business economics. That's for today. Thank you, students.